Welcome to the Invincible CEO Manifestation Playground YouTube channel. My name is dedepowerniak and I am the Invincible CEO, and we are here to help you manifest with ease because manifestation is simple, easy, and fun. The whole reason I'm doing all of this is because I want to see you win. I want to see you win big, and I want to see you win all the time. So welcome back if you're returning, and hello if this is your first time here. Every Friday, I do a community-chosen video. I put 3 topics up at the beginning of the week and let the community decide. And this week, I put up 3 topics that have to do with using dreams for your manifestation. How can you tap into the subconscious mind that is governing your dream? So this video is how to use your nighttime dream to help you manifest during your daytime dream. How exciting is that? Because we are always in imagination. We are always in a dream state. Here at the Invincible CEO, everything is imaginally real or really imagined. We do not differentiate. So basically, when we look at what we call our nighttime dream state, right, when we're totally withdrawn from this reality, we are able to travel into other realities. That's quantum jumping, folks, at its finest. Because when you're in your dream, whether you're totally lucid or not, you believe what is happening. You believe that that is your real reality. And sometimes you are the you that you know yourself to be now watching this video. And other times you take on different character forms. But what's really interesting in dreams is you always seem to know what's going on. So in this winning video today, I'm going to help you use a dream incubation that you create during your daytime dream before you go to sleep at night and get information, kind of prime the dream that you're going to have to get information out of it so that you can use it in the daytime world. I'm going to share one of my stories, how one dream incubation in December of 2008 changed my whole entire life and how I can really give it the credit for all that I'm doing here right now. So I'm really excited to share this with you. If you don't have a paper and pen, highly recommend that you get that. And my promise is I'm going to keep this one short. So we're going to stay on point so that we can get all this wonderful information out. And because we're going to keep it nice and short, I do have a blog on my website. My website is theinvincibleceo.com. All of my links are always in the description box below. And I will highlight 4 of the blogs that focus on dreams. So if you need some foundational information from the Invincible CEO perspective, because my perspective is always a little bit different than what's out there. So I'll put the 4 topics up here on the screen so that you can see, and they really do give you some foundation of what we're going to be talking here. So I'm not going to go too deep in those topics, but they are a good foundation to have before you take a deep dive into what we're doing here, because again, my perspective is always a little bit different. Back in 2008, I started teaching, and some of my favorite classes were dream interpretation, how to go lucid in your dreams, and how to astral project. Because along with manifestation, all of those topics are just an exploration of your consciousness as you, as the great I am, taking on many different forms. So buckle up, my friends. This is the manifestation playground, and we are going to have so much fun because I'm just like a little kid. So I will walk you through certain steps so that you can have a very clear, concise roadmap of how to do this. I forgot to include this in the original recording of this video, that I have created a guidebook with tips on how to do the dream incubation step by step that goes hand in hand with this video. If you'd like to be able to download this guidebook, simply sign up for our fun nurture group, the Manifestation Playground. The links are in the description box below. If you're already in our group, go to the circle thread titled Dreams, and you will see the post with today's video and workbook for you to download with ease. Thanks so much. But first, before we get into the steps, I want to share my dream incubation and give you a little summary in a nutshell what it is. So before you go to bed at night, you're going to think of a topic that you want an answer, and you can stay general, but I suggest the more specific that you go, the more specific answers you'll get. And you have to know and be aware of how your subconscious is speaking to you. So prior to all of this, I keep dream journals. I write my dreams down. And again, that's something that I share in those blogs. If you would like more videos where I share how to use your dreams for manifestation and also how to get really good dream call and how to interpret your dreams, put that in the comments below and you'll see more of those videos coming up. Okay. So what you do with a dream incubation in a nutshell is some people like to write questions. We're not going to write a question. We're going to command our reality because we are very powerful manifestors and we are very powerful first cause operant power. But before I would go to bed at night, I always zero myself out. So if you go into our deep dive in the Now series, episode 3 and 4, I talk about 0-point activation. And when you're going from a daytime dream into a nighttime dream, it's no different than if we were to close our eyes and open our eyes in this reality. We are always shifting through different realities. It's just how conscious are you in the now moment? So what I did was back in 2008, it was December. I shared here on the channel before, I had 80 pounds to lose. I had 5 other attempts over the last 2 years prior where I would lose 20 or 30 pounds. And then something would happen, someone would need me to come to the rescue, and I would think that I could do both of them simultaneously, but being the overgiver that I was, I always allowed that other thing to come in and be more important. So my dream incubation was, how can I stop that from happening? And instead of asking a question, you can ask a question, but I didn't want a vague answer. And I find that when you use dream incubations for a question, you get more vague answers. I wanted specific answers. So my dream incubation was, I will have a successful body transformation journey and I will see it to the end. That's what I put as my dream incubation. So I'll go through the steps of what you do, but let me go into the dream that I had when I did it that night. And I always have my dream journal next to the bed so that I could always jot down notes. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit. So I went to bed, I put that in as my dream incubation, and I did all the steps prior to falling asleep, and I'm going to go into the dream now. So I wake up in the dream and I'm at a block party. And so I'm a Philly girl, and we have block parties all the time where you shut the block down and you just have a big party, and it's usually a whole bunch of neighbors. And it felt like Philly. It could have been another town, but it felt like Philly. I felt like I was home, but I felt like I was in my hometown. And I was at this round table, you know, the kind like when you go to a wedding, but they were outdoors and there were several of them. But at my table, and every seat was filled. Christian Slater was across from me. Keanu Reeves was next to me. Yes, it was my dream. And then all the other people were kind of just filler people, right? Now I'm playing characters in the dream. And when I was there, and this is what I want to just say how important this thing is with the dream. My dream began me sitting at the table. So prior to me becoming aware of me sitting at the table, there was no before that. There was no before that. There was no me walking up to the table. There was no me arriving at the party. My dream began and it opened up me sitting at this round table with Keanu Reeves next to me, Christian Slater across from me, and a whole bunch of other people at the table. And I could see the table there and a table there, and then the street was over here. Why that's important is when I'm teaching you manifestation and passive imaginal acts, and we close our eyes, and then we open our eyes, and I say, you're in a new reality. It looks like the old reality. So if we were to use that just right here, right now, that if you close your eyes and you've left the old reality and now you've opened it, and you've just got here, and this is a daytime dream. The daytime dream began right here. There was no before this. There's no story. So in that reality, in my dream reality, there was no story of how I got there, how old I was, who I was with, was I married, did I have kids? None of that existed in that reality. And it wasn't even my reality. It wasn't even a thought for me to ask. I just accepted when I was there. That's what was going on. So that's really powerful, folks, because that's also what's going on in the daytime dream. When I tell you that there is no past, if you close your eyes and you open it right now, you're in a new reality that has no past. So I just wanted to point that out. So back to the dream. So I'm sitting at the table and I'm looking around, and it just felt normal to have Keanu Reeves to my right and Christian Slater across. And no words were spoken in this whole dream. And I know when I wake up the next morning that if there's famous people in my dream, if it's a famous person in my dream and it's an actor, I always go look and see what are they in right now? Or if they're not in anything new, what of their thing haven't I seen? Because if it was something that I've already seen, it would have clicked already. So anyway, going back to the dream. And so I first focused on Christian Slater. And he was just sitting there with his arms crossed. And he had that Christian Slater smirk, you know the one. And he's just sitting there going, like, I know, I know, but do you know what I know? That's what it felt like he was saying, even no words, where I'm like, I see you over there sitting all smirking. And it was like a little like, who is he thinking is smirking at me like that? That's kind of what I remember in the dream. And this dream didn't last very long. Maybe it was a minute long, or it felt very, very short. And then next thing I know, Keanu Reeves stands up, taps me on the shoulder, and then points to the street. And now, out of, I don't know where it came from, but when my kids were little, they had this Little Tikes roller coaster ride, and it had like a little car that they sit on, and we put them at the top of this little hill that has 2 little bumps, and then you give them a nudge and they go down the hill, right? So he was pointing, there was one there, and he was pointing to me and for me to go over to it. So I stood up and I went over and I was standing next to him, and he pointed for me to sit on the little car. So I thought, okay, I've done this plenty of times with the kids. So this was something that was very, very natural at that point when the kids were younger. So I got on and he stood behind me. And when I was totally on at the top of the little hill, I felt his 2 hands and he gave me a little push and sent me on my way. And I remember going down the 2 little ramps onto the street, and then the dream ended. So immediately when I woke up the next morning, and that wasn't like early in the morning. If I got up in the middle of the night, I always write down. So it was like really in the middle of the night, because everything's fresh. Because I know if I go back into my next dream, that kind of will get deleted, that memory, so that the next time I go into REM sleep, there could be room for another dream. So I wrote everything down. And then when I finally got up the next morning and I had time to actually sit and dedicate to this, I was really excited. What was Christian Slater in? Christian Slater at that time was in a very short-lived series called My Own Worst Enemy, and message received. That's why I say your subconscious doesn't have to speak in words. I already had this agreement that if an actor showed up in my dream, this is what I would do, right? So right away, once I received that I'm my own worst enemy, before I did anything else, I took the time and I re-commanded myself. I re-actualized myself as my best friend, my own best friend. Because if I was my own worst enemy, now I'm my own best friend. So that was the first thing that I did. And then I looked up Keanu Reeves, and he wasn't in anything at the time. And he had something coming out in a few months, but that don't count because that was in the future. So I asked a friend, I'm like, what haven't I seen of his? Because all the ones that I can think of, like Speed, it just wasn't resonating. And my friend said to me, did you see The Matrix? And any of The Matrix? I'm like, no. And I was blown away. When I sat down and watched The Matrix, I had pen and paper ready. So I watched the whole first one. It was just like manifestation 101 right there. And if you'd like to see a manifestation video on The Matrix and how you can use that for manifestation, put a comment in the comment section below. But it wasn't the first one. It didn't click yet. And then when I got to the second one, there's a scene where Neo he gets the key, goes through the door, and he's in the room with the architect with all the TV sets. And I'm listening to this scene, and Neo seemed surprised, like he'd never been there before. And the architect says something to him like, oh, you don't remember being here? This is our 6th time. Right then and there, it got my attention, because if I was to start my transformation journey again, it would be the 6th time. So like, I'm now zeroing in, right? He's like, this is the 6th time. And the reason why you don't remember is because we always reset the system. Because the reason why you're back here again, you keep making the same choices. And I was like, oh, blown away at the scene. And all the Neos on the TV screens go, no, we haven't. And he goes, and you know what? We might as well just set it up again, because you're going to go through this and you're going to make the same choices again. So we might as well just reset the system now. And that was really pissing off the Neo character. Now, in the version that I watched back in 2008, there was a line in there that, thanks to the Mandela effect, is no longer in there, because obviously I don't need it anymore, right? But at the time when Neo goes to storm out of the room, he says to the architect, this time it's going to be different. And then he storms out the door. And if you go and watch it now, or it depends which reality you're in, it may or may not be there. But when I went back and watched it years later and it wasn't there, I'm like, that's the line that turned my whole life around. Where did it go? So that was my new mantra of this time was going to be different. And that transformation I did back in 2008, 2009 is the foundation for what we're doing in our 2-day event on May 18th and 19th, where I wrote down all the things that I loved about the 5 times that I did things and all the things that went sideways as to why I stopped all those other 5 times. And I was ready for it this 6th time because I knew it was going to come. Because when I was writing everything down, I realized every subsequent time it got more intense what was asked of me. Like I was the only reason and the only person that could help this person out. And it got more and more intense. So I figured that this time it was going to be a whopper when it came, because it would pull me out of putting myself as my own best friend. And that's why I say you have to get selfless. You have to get selfish to be selfless. Okay. So that powerful dream incubation and using that mantra that I'm now my own best friend, and this time's going to be different. That 6th time I lost the 80 pounds in 7 months in 1 week. So now what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you the steps on how tonight you can start doing a dream incubation. It could happen right away. But if not, this is something that you have to trust and go back in over and over until you get the dream, because whatever the first dream that it is that you remember will have the information on there. But I'm going to now walk you through the steps. Okay. So if you don't have a dream journal, and if you heard in my story that the dream could be the very first dream or the second dream of the night, and if you get up to go to the bathroom, you're not going to remember it in the morning. So that's why you always want to have pen and paper. And I don't write it in my actual dream journal in the middle of the night. I have like a little notepad and I write down bullet points so that I'll be able to have better recall in the morning. But don't worry if you can't dream, or don't worry if you don't remember your dreams, because then you just start with your dream incubation is, I remember my dreams. I remember them vividly. I remember them all the time. Just like we would do affirmations in the daytime, you'll use the dream incubation to remember dreams first. But if you are one who does, then we'll start from there. Okay. And when we go to write this incubation, if you want some feedback on your incubation, put it in the comments below and I'll give you some feedback, right? To make sure that it's nice and concise. So you could ask a question, but I'm going to tell you to use a commanding statement. So instead of saying, how will the next $5,000 come in? I will say, my next $5,000 will come in a client that drops in my lap. And I give it one thing. From pretty reasonable that you already have something in your reality that this could happen this way, to a little bit unreasonable, right? So it could be a lottery scratch-off ticket. It could be you got a promotion that or a bonus at work that you were not expecting, right? So you're just going to pick one thing. And so instead of saying, how will $5,000 come in? I'm going to command that it's going to come in through an unexpected client dropping in my lap, taking a $5,000 training program. Now, what will happen is 2 things. If that's the one, that's how it'll show up in my dream. But if it's not the one, the dream will show you how. So that way, when you come in questioning in a dream incubation, you're really not coming in from a strong operant commanding power. That's why I like to use a command. So you could use this for any topic. It could be SP, it could be your business, it could be money, it could be whatever it is. So think first of the question. So for the example I just gave is, how will $5,000 come quickly to me? And you could, and I don't usually put timeframes down because my mind knows I mean very quickly. So how will the next $5,000 come to me? I turn it into an incubation statement of the next $5,000 will come to me in a scratch-off lottery ticket. So once you have your incubation, and keep it simple, keep it very simple, because once you get the hang of this, you can do this. That's why we do one focus point at a time. Okay, so then you're going to write it on a piece of paper. And I always write it on a piece of paper right before bedtime. But as you know, in the Invincible CEO, we just don't go right into a technique. Zero yourself out. I would say to you, take the full 3 minutes. If you need the full 3 minutes, zero activation, go to the deep dive into the Now series, go to episode 4. It'll walk you through it. That way, and that's after I brush my teeth, everybody's taken care of. It's like literally right before I'm going to go into bed. So if you're super tired, that's wonderful. Don't write it off that you're super tired, because you're going to be able to slip into that alpha state very easily. And don't worry if you get super excited and it takes a little bit to drop off at night, you'll eventually get to sleep. Okay, so you're going to zero out first, and then you're going to write your incubation on a piece of paper. And you're going to write it out in sentence form, because we're sentencing ourselves to this conviction. This is the reality, right, that we want. It doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all reality, but honestly, would you care how an extra $5,000 shows up? So it's one that would be fun, but it doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all, right? If you want that first big client, don't let it be that. Have it something fun and light. Okay, so then you're going to take your incubation, and now we're going to activate it. So you've already zeroed out, and now you're going to write it out on your paper, and you're going to hold it, and you're going to do another 3 minutes, 0 point, resting as awareness, just deep breathing with a very light focus, looking at what you wrote for 3 minutes. And during that 3 minutes, you're going to pay attention to how it activates in your body, because feeling is the secret. Feeling is a sensation. It's never emotion. Do you get a tickle at your belly button? Does your heart expand? Do you get an itch on your nose? Okay. That means that subconscious response is the confirmation email that your subconscious that's already activated has received your order. Once you do that and you feel the tingle or the itch, don't itch it right away. Let it get annoying. Let it blow up. If it's a tingle, then let it tickle, right? Whatever it is, it could be anything. It could be that you sneeze. It could be that you blink your eyes excessively for a few seconds. Whatever the subconscious response is. Once you got the subconscious response, put the incubation in your pillowcase. It doesn't matter what side it's on. Just put it in your pillowcase, because you're literally sleeping on it. How many times have you said, I'll sleep on it? You're literally sleeping on it. Okay. And then go to bed as normal. But as you're drifting off to sleep, I want you to start practicing deep breathing. And I want you to start thinking about all the ways $5,000 could come in like that. And they could be logical ones, reasonable ones, or crazy delusional ones, like your ceiling will open up, and while you're sleeping, 5,000 and hundreds will drop down, and you'll wake up and you'll be covered in $100 bills, 5,000 of $100 bills. And I just do these like 10-second loops, right? Of scratch off ticket, extra client came in, early birthday present, check in the mail, like rainbow unicorn farting glitter drops a bag of money at my feet. And as I'm falling asleep, I keep thinking about the $5,000 coming to me. I'm in total appreciation, but I'm not allowing it to get me excited, because I want it to feel like I'm reviewing all the ways that it has in the past. Like I'm pulling into past memories as I'm drifting off to sleep. And then when you go to sleep, you can also tell yourself that this is very exciting, and you're going to get your answer. You're going to get your answer. This is very exciting. So if you wake up a couple hours later to go to the bathroom, make sure you write something down. If nothing's remembered, that's okay. Go to the bathroom, come back in. You're already activated. Just go back into falling asleep, thinking about the money, or if your topic's an SP, whatever it is. And then when you wake up in the morning, have that pen and paper there. And before you sit up, start writing. Because the moment that you sit up in the morning time, when you wake up and it's daylight, almost half of your dream recall disappears, especially if you're new at this. If you've been practicing for a while, it's not so much. But in the beginning, you're going to lose half of it, because you're starting to move in this new reality, and your subconscious is always impressed, and it shuts down those old realities. Because remember, Now you're in first person perspective in your daytime world, but you're looking back at your dream as third person's perspective. When you're in that nighttime dream, you're in the first person perspective. That's why it seems so real to you. And no matter what you remember, even if it's just 2 words, write it down. And then later on in the day, come back and look at those 2 words, and it might trigger some more recall. Or if it was a lottery ticket in your dream, but you don't remember, and then you hear something about the lottery, it might trigger that during the day, because your subconscious mind is always trying to get the answers to you wherever you are in the template. If you don't get the dream the first night, do it again. Remember, Neville Goddard, when he wanted to be discharged from the Army, had to do his imaginal act 9 nights in a row until he got his yes. So how many nights in a row are you willing to do this? Now, this was a crash course. It was very, very quick. And again, if you'd like to see more videos on how to use dreams to help you with your manifestation, but here's the other thing, my one blog on how to do dream interpretation, I will just throw this in real quick. There's 3 levels of dream interpretation: the literal, the societal, and the personal. So when you're dreaming of going to the bathroom, the literal interpretation is get up and go to the bathroom. You have to go. The societal interpretation, or what you would find on a dream website or in a dream dictionary, that it would be letting go. You're letting go of something. And they're wonderful answers, but you're not here for, well, if the literal, you would have went to the bathroom already and it's already taken care of. But you're not here of what the society says or the collective says. This is you personally. So what is your personal interpretation of going to the bathroom? And it could match the societal, but as I shared in a different video, it changes based on where you are in your life. Because when the kids were young, me dreaming going to the bathroom either meant I needed more time for myself, because if I got in there fast enough and I locked the door, I'd actually have a few moments to myself, having 5 kids. Or if I forgot to lock the door, it was family meeting time because they realized mom was on the toilet, and all of a sudden they all started showing up because they had my undivided attention. So it had really nothing to do with letting go. So you always want to go into what does it mean for you in this moment, not 5 years ago, not 10 days from now, right here, right now. And it's always that first thing that comes to mind, and you don't question it. I automatically knew what Christian Slater, as soon as I got the title of his show, Your Own Worst Enemy, boom, nothing else needed to be said. It was such a beautiful incubation and dream interpretation. If you have any questions or you need help, you can put the comments below, or you can join my free nurture playground, my free nurture manifestation group, and I will set up a thread in there for this video so that you can go in there, especially maybe if your questions are a little bit more personal and you don't want them on the channel, very understood. You can go in there and put the questions. I will link the video there, and you can put the questions there, and I can help you through that. This is so much fun for me, guys. Dream interpretation, going lucid in a dream, teaches you so much about how to manifest here, because this is a daytime dream. You can't prove to me now that there isn't another version of you on a bed somewhere, and this is his or her dream. You are starring in their dream right now. Say hi to the cameras. Say hi to the cameras. So thank you so much for voting on this video. It was so much fun. There were 2 other dream topics, and I may recycle them back in, or I may end up using them as a 3-day event in June that we can do in our free nurture group. If you are excited to learn more about manifestation, take a few minutes and do a consult with me. The links are in the description box below. Once again, thank you so much for coming here. I really do appreciate you deeply. Feel free to share the channel and the videos with all your manifestation friends, all your dream interpretation friends. Take a moment, read some of those blogs, and the blog over on my website has so many different topics about manifestation that's just been sitting there waiting for your eyes to peer upon it. If you missed any of our other community chosen videos, take a look up top, because there's a whole playlist linked just for you. Thank you so much for being here. Until I see you again, happy manifesting. Enjoy.